Hey, and welcome back. So I finally did it. I got a belt grinder. Of course I could make one, but for the price I paid for this and the quality of the components, it's really hard to beat. This was made by Mark Graves, link in the description to his eBay, and he did give me a discount in exchange for the video, but hey, I wouldn't have bought it if I didn't think it was a quality product. Mark offers a bare minimum kit that you need to get started with a belt grinder. And of course, you can go all in and get everything. It's a good way to start and be able to customize your setup to what it is that you need and want to do and make parts as opposed to buy parts if that's what you want to do. All of the steel parts are laser cut and black powder coated. As well, the way it's put together is a tab and a slot, so it's easy to index whenever he fabricates it, so it's self-aligning essentially whenever it's made. Alright, so first off we gotta find a home for the new belt grinder. Where is it gonna go? Well, the only place I really have in the shop to put it is here on the radial arm saw bench, which most of you know I have a very small shop. It's a 1 bay out of 3 bays, and so I don't have a whole lot of room. I paid about $125 for this thing 5 or 6 years ago. It's from 1943, I believe, and as you can see, it looks like it's been through hell. It probably has. And is Swiss cheese on the front there. I need to do something about that. And most of you have only seen it like this, removing rust or buffing a part, maybe grinding something. And it goes without saying it's been a very solid machine and doesn't cut very much wood anymore. This has essentially become the material prep bench. And I'm going to set it up to where I can remove the belt grinder and cut wood if I want to. But hey, let's fix that Swiss cheese first. This is the first North American Electric Inc. motor that I've dealt with, and I really like it. If you read the tag, it's even got the bearing codes for the bearings on it. Nobody does that. Definitely designed for an industrial application. They've installed ring terminals on all of the wires for easy installation, no wire nuts. And it's got double heat shrink tube markers on every wire, so if one of them gets messed up, there's a backup. It's got a very nice grommet that puts the wires through to the inside. It's just really well thought out. I didn't heat shrink those right away. I did my first run first so I could verify that the motor was spinning in the right direction. Easy to reverse the phase right there if I needed to, but I didn't. And after monkeying around with all my PIDs for a bit, I got it running. Really happy with that motor. Very clean install. It's lightweight, it's compact, it's got a removable base, usually that's welded on. And I made a quick disconnect right here to be able to remove it from the bench very quickly if I wanted to, as well as the base bolts. And you wouldn't think wiring up a motor would create that much chaos, but hey, it did. Alright, so I gotta find something wrong with it, and this is the only thing that I can find wrong with it, and it's extremely minor, and I'm gonna fix this, but you can see that it doesn't quite fit going that way. And of course I made a rookie mistake here. I figured out really quick that I'm going too slow. I've got the RPM too low, and you can actually hear it chattering a little bit. So if you hear it chatter, you need to speed it up. So I wasn't even going for shiny here, just flat. And I wound up getting really flat and really shiny as well. Of course, it'll get scratched up over time with usage. Yes, I still have the belt installed, and I'm very close to zero with very minimal effort, I might add. I put like literally no effort into setting that up. We got to fix that. Way too much stuff. The closer I get the vacuum to it, you can see that the dust virtually disappears. Alright, so I need to make a way to mount the Big Gulp vacuum hood to the belt grinder. Of course I could mount it to the bench, but I'm not going to do that. But first I need a slitting saw arbor. I found 3 of these carbide slitting saw blades at an antique store for $1 a piece, so I really don't mind the little run out. A little slow going with the slitting saw, but it seemed to be happier without any oil and worked out well. I've got a counter bore for a 1/4 20. I've got a hole punched in it for a post, and that's the mount for the hood. So that's the cheapest of the cheap mag bases that I have, and would probably be better if it was a more powerful magnet or had a larger engagement area, as I'm not using all of the magnet surface. But it's there, it stays put, and it works, and it's quick release. I made a couple of spark shields to go inside the plastic big gulp, and there's the mount bolt that goes through to the clamp. How well does it work, you say? Let's find out with a piece of wood. Watch the two circles. I have a little bit of a gap between the tool rest and the belt. I found that I got better performance from the vacuum that way, and I may raise the big gulp up and create a notch on the backside here to keep that debris that's being carried from the belt down to a minimum. I didn't get much debris on the bench or the floor. It was very little and very easy to clean up with my other vacuum. How about those radiuses on that 1-inch strip of aluminum? Alright, so let's circle back to the only problem that I could find. Mark provides a washer that goes under the tool arm bracket here, goes under this bolt, and provides a clearance so that you don't have the fitment issue. Well, I found that if I use that, it causes the tool arm to cock a little bit, and it's hard to register it back to 0 every time. I want it to fit very tight so that it's going to be in the same place regardless of which position I put it in, or if I move it, I know it's going to index back to 0 every time. So that was really simple to do. I just took it off and used the belt grinder to smooth it out a little bit and create the clearance required to get it to just slip fit in either horizontal or vertical position. Did I mention that this is a horizontal and a vertical machine? How about that? And that's the reason I made the mag base attachment for the vacuum hood the way that I did. And as well, I can very easily pull it out of my way and it can hang out over there on the radial arm saw while I'm doing tool arm stuff. So I'm still getting familiar with the machine and all the infinite ways that you could possibly set it up. And here you can see I just flipped it back from horizontal to vertical and flipped the tool arm over and put the tool rest back in upside down basically, and it just will index back as well. I've got another tool arm that I'm setting up that'll be for the horizontal position only. More upgrades for the radial arm saw bench. I need some belt storage. I had some 12-inch pieces of aluminum. I needed 8 pieces that were around 4 and 5/8-ish, and I figured out a way to use the tailstock to reference my cutoff length so that it went a lot faster, and I wound up being within plus or minus 5 thousandths. So this is a pretty good technique if you're not too worried about it being super precise. It worked out well. You may have noticed back whenever I was changing the belts on the belt grinder that I was getting a lot of movement in the bench. I've had this thing on casters ever since I put it where it's parked at, and it's time to put some actual feet on it. Just happened to have 4 stainless steel drops that were all very close to the length that I wanted. So I put half 13 in one side and 5/8 11 in the other side. It didn't have a 5/8 11 drill, so I had to bore the tap size on that side with the boring bar, and very straightforward. I had all the hardware already, so it worked out really good. The piece of stainless is 2-inch diameter, so I get really good engagement here on both sides of the leg, and the legs themselves are very strong, so no need to make an additional bracket. Very handy having a dedicated vacuum at the radial arm saw bench now, as I think that's the cleanest die grinder cut I've ever made. And by clean, of course, I mean the amount of debris floating around in the air, not that jagged line you just saw. And of course, it works great for the bandsaw as well. And I went full tilt on the bandsaw enclosure, so now it's completely paneled in, and it all just pops into place, no fasteners. It's just held in with pressure. Alright, so there it is. Completely reinvented the radial arm saw bench. It even has USB charging. How about that? Belt storage, vacuum attachment, and of course a new super awesome belt grinder. VFD driven with quick release wiring and quick release mounting. Very happy with the belt grinder itself and how the installation turned out. Now I can work on different setups for it, which are seemingly infinitely complicated compared to the machine itself, which is very simple and easy to operate. Talk about easy. It only took me a couple of minutes of light grinding to turn this rusty, rough, dinged up drop into something that's nice and smooth and burr free, pretty well flat, that will register in the mill vise without any issues. Hey, thanks for watching.